Mask-wearing thugs with impunity will never enforce the law. This is the truth about Trump's ICE and why we all need to say no to ICE to make sure it stays away for good. This is Two and a Mic.
Dung weche pek kod welo mabiro e Two and a Mic. Dung parodit kod jok mawuoye Two and a Mic. Seche tin sud buta wawinji e Two and a Mic. Wala wachokre wabed piny biwawinje ero chako Dungo mit ndi Two and a Mic podcast makende.
The Trump administration doesn't care. He doesn't care. He is impervious to reality. His vision is not just tainted, it is drowning in self-interest. It is true that an embarrassingly large number of US voters love Trump. They love the chaos the Trump-branded SS are bringing to peaceful communities. They love seeing innocent people being rounded up like animals and placed in concentration-style camps without proper medication or sanitation, where recently a child of 5 years died due to a lack of medication for a previously known condition. They love seeing people with darker skin stopped in the streets, rugby tackled, or whatever the NFL variant is known as, removed from their cars, dragged from their homes, and in so many cases without warrants or due cause. Just an invasive app provided by the evil overlord from another dimension known as Palantir. There is no empathy at the loss of life, no regret, no consideration that things could have been handled differently. This is a government on a mission to create chaos and sow division. This president doesn't care even about how things look. He certainly doesn't give a shit about law and order. He's not looking for immigrants because they might be criminals. His policy is about destabilizing communities. And his primary target is the midterms. He doesn't want to leave anything to chance. This year is about making his push. The next 2 years will be about consolidating his position. He isn't creating a kingship. He's looking for absolute dominance. He has fixed the courts too, as we all know. In their pre-qualification hearings, when they were asked whether they would overturn Roe versus Wade, they said they didn't see a reason why. Well, they pretty soon created a reason why thereafter, and countless miscarriages of justice have occurred since as a result. Then he attempted to redraw districts to get more of his own people elected in the midterms. This is a president whose party machine effectively disenfranchised thousands in the 2020 elections by closing down polling stations in areas where his support was minimal, or by disqualifying people from voting if they had unpaid speeding fines. Can you imagine the level of hypocrisy of that for a moment? If people have speeding fines or parking fines that disqualified them from voting, because of course usually only poorer people can't afford to pay fines, yet Trump, who is a convicted felon, twice impeached, and in the very least had a very sinister relationship with a convicted sex trafficker, well, he could be president. Is that not the sickest joke of all? By the way, when are you going to release the Epstein files in full? Any nation looking at what's happening in the USA and that still believes this government is a reliable partner is deluded. There can be no more excuses. He has no care for international law and not a care for his own country's domestic law. This is a rogue president. He is a terrorist by every definition of the term. Any politician that cooperates with this government is complicit in the crimes he has committed internationally and accepting of the illegality of his leadership at home. There have been calls by delusional far-right politicians, notably in Germany from the AfD, but there has also been other support for him by other less extremist right-wing politicians, as well as voices of support that opine how he is doing a good job vis-à-vis immigration and law enforcement. Nothing could be further from the truth. That they hang on to these so obviously disprovable lies only reinforces what many have known for years. The establishment propaganda that goes back centuries and which was used to justify empire, colonialism, slavery and exploitation has always been based on lies. Nobody with a shred of intelligence and the ability to think critically would ever believe the West brought civilization to countries when the people who stepped off those boats had no concept of the depth of culture they were facing in the first place. Thinking back to Project 2025, which Trump denied that he was following, Trump has actually followed it quite determinedly. He has bypassed the Constitution by using presidential decrees. He has turned ICE into a mob of marshals that go around non-Trump communities to dish out their own brand of injustice, hiding their violence behind badges and masks, fearful of nothing, and engaging immediately in the covering up of forensic evidence by disturbing the bodies of innocent civilians and citizens they themselves have shot. He has further enriched his cronies. He has raised prices on food, healthcare, and social amenities. He has created a trade panic with his tariffs and also lied to cover up the true nature of those tariffs. And he somehow got away with it because most of his followers choose not to find out who actually pays the tariffs. He has said he will make medication 500% cheaper, which is about as likely as a masked ICE agent enforcing the law. Just as how Reaganism claimed to bolster the economy through a trickle-down system, whereby the people at the bottom would benefit from the flow of money in that direction. But what really happened was the rich got richer and the prisons filled up with black people providing cheap or free labor. Trumpism is about making America great, but only for the millionaires and billionaires. Nobody else matters to Trump unless they shoot people who disagree with him, in which case they become Trump patriots, for a while at least. If your politicians are not calling out the brazen criminality of the Trump administration, it's time to get active. Vote out any politician who does not value human and civil rights. Once you have allowed your rights to be squandered because you have believed the lies that the immigrants are to blame for rich people getting richer, there is no comeback from that. Once the establishment has taken every right you have to protest, the only choices you have are to accept it and go to work and be a prisoner to their system, or clench your teeth, roll up your sleeves, and come out swinging. The right to protest is fundamental to every form of democracy that exists, and if you allow it to be taken away from you, how do you think you will be able to raise the dissenting voice in the future? Take control of your democracy through participation. Vote for representatives who respect the communities that elect them, and be active in protesting for the rights everybody should have in protecting their homes, their dignity, their families, and their friends. Even if you don't like me, we are still in it together because sooner or later, our time will come. This is Two and a Mic. Rise up and be curious. Two and a mic. Two and a mic. Two and a mic.